Well, we want the raw branding.
Yeah, y'all want the raw branding, or y'all want the like?
Listen, be yourself. Whatever you want to bring out,
we
be
want
yourself.
the more in Dallas.
Okay, more in Dallas is PC. Do y'all want more in Dallas, or do y'all want
bring out the real brand?
Y'all want Need I Say More?
Yeah, we're very the thing when we go by is our 3 R's: real, raw, relevant, and that's what we want.
Hey, I fuck with
That's
that.
what we want
I like
all
that.
the time.
I like that.
Okay.
That's what we want all the time. So that's exactly who we want.
Bet.
What's in your bottle, sir?
You sound like a commercial, bro. What's in your bottle?
Right, exactly. Like she does this for a living. This is her job.
You really should look into voiceovers. Like,
I don't. I guess I should.
I can see her
I never-
playing like Susie Carmichael. Like back there. Like it's a.
the laugh. She was gonna
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's start. My bad.
It's funny.
Just reminiscing those old times,
Yeah.
2015. You know what I mean?
Y'all are
Got me
hilarious. Hilarious.
Welcome to another episode of Unsolicited Opinions, where we will bring you real, raw, and relevant content.
Yes, sir.
I am your host, Ryan J. And to my right, we have my co-host.
Malika.
Round of applause for you. That was whack.
I like that. I liked it.
And we have 2 special guests. To my left, we have...
Dani.
Hey, Dani girl.
Hi.
And then
And then
can I
we
get a
have
drum roll?
a drum roll.
So your boy, Brandon Moore, a.k.a. Moore in Dallas. A.k.a. Wait, I got AKAs for days. Wait,
my bad. Go ahead.
Hold your applause. Moore in Dallas, a.k.a. Need I Say More, a.k.a. the mayor of Dallas, a.k.a. the one your mom's like, but it didn't work out between us, so now your mom's looking at you in disappointment, a.k.a.
Well, we have a lot.
I was not ready for that. But I
Never
love
mind, we
the
can move on.
energy.
Sorry,
I
go
love the
ahead.
energy. I love this energy. I'm loving it.
Well, first of all, we want to thank y'all for joining the show.
For sure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank y'all for
Thank
coming.
you.
We appreciate y'all. Today's topic, we're going to talk about everything that's going on right now. We're going to talk about the protests. We're going to talk about...
I forgot this was serious. My bad. Sorry. I'm thinking about it now like, okay, bring it back.
Bring
it
back to
back.
reality.
Good. No.
Back
it's
to reality,
good.
G.
I want all personality in it,
Yeah.
regardless of the topic. We want to keep it
Yeah, just be you.
natural. So if that's
Cool.
you, let that be you.
Cool.
Okay.
That's
All
it.
right.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about George Floyd, the protests, the riots, and everything that's going on right now.
But first, we gotta take a shot.
Let's take these shots.
We gotta take these shots. What we drinking on, y'all?
Shots,
We got some
okay.
Jack, and we got what else? We got
Bacardi.
Bacardi. Okay,
Bacardi.
just so we can make this a little less tense.
Yeah.
And we're gonna, toast to y'all being here. Thank y'all for coming.
You want to do boomerang or what?
Oh, you know what?
We good right now. You can do it?
good right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen. I'm with anything. It's whatever.
She said she with the shits.
So stupid.
All right, so we got everybody. Let me know when y'all ready. Or I kind of got everybody.
Oh,
we
wait,
doing
Brandon, you're not in there. Ryan, you're not in there either. You have to
Gotta
come
come over
closer.
there?
Or, yeah.
I got to come over there?
You gonna put your arm in it?
There you go.
All right, y'all ready? Shots. Okay. I'm not ready.
Whew.
Oh, that
It's
actually
water.
wasn't bad.
Got that water.
Whew.
I got
Made
that
my
water.
throat a little dry. Hold on one second.
Y'all so funny. I love it.
Okay.
All right. But before we get started on the topic, we want to know,
A little bit about y'all.
Okay.
about y'all.
We want to get into y'all life. We want to be nosy.
So we met in 2013. It was a beautiful day. I saw her. I was at Ida Claire.
I cannot. I love
Right, it
Ida
was a
Claire.
restaurant, and I saw
That's
her
where I
behind the
actually
bar.
work.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
saw her behind the bar, and I was like, "Hey, little mama,
Nice.
I see you with your braids. I see you." I'm
And
just
I was
wondering.
like, I'm not wearing braids. I'm natural. That's what I said. So.
Yeah, she started
from
off
there,
really rocky.
Y'all need a
She
sketch
started out
comedy
rocky.
show. Y'all really need a sketch comedy show. I'm not even gonna lie. Like y'all have been so funny since y'all walked in here. Y'all need a sketch comedy show. So I know that we want to get to know both of you guys, very much so. So Dani, we've definitely done some work, and so we noticed that you do some modeling, girl.
Yes.
I
Yes,
love
yes.
to see it. Love to see it, especially brown skin girls. That's beautiful.
Melanin
So
popping.
yeah, what got you started modeling? And how long have you been modeling?
Honestly,
Wait.
okay.
I'm sorry.
No,
How
it's
tall are
okay.
you?
I'm. How tall do you think I am?
5'10".
I am.
I know because we saw it.
I am.
But no, go ahead though.
I cannot.
But no, I've been modeling for almost, I want to say 6 years,
Oh,
but taking
nice.
it serious 3 years,
Okay.
I want to say.
Okay.
Because there's a difference with
Definitely.
actually modeling and then taking it serious with like pursuing my modeling career and what I want to take with, modeling. And
Okay.
honestly, it started with knowing the different types of photographers and like what type of model do I see myself being. If it's
Okay.
commercial, print, runway, and then really just pitting work within myself when it comes to shoots, when it comes to like meeting up with stylists and knowing the type of shoot and figuring out if I have a concept or a story behind the shoot that I take part in. But I'm kind of merging into also trying to be a full-time entrepreneur when it comes to like being a brand ambassador for
Yeah,
different brands.
Absolutely.
So the 3 major brands I work with now is Clorox,
Oh.
Goli, as well as oh my gosh, I pronounced their name wrong. Wow, Goji. Okay.
okay.
And then Butterskin, which is Black owned by Dorian.
Nice. Love it. Love
So,
it.
yeah.
For sure. Okay, well, thank you. That's dope. And then we have Mr. Morin Dallas.
Hey.
How did you get started with being an influencer? How is that?
So for me, it started out with me just kind of being new to the city of Dallas,
Okay.
right? So for me, I wasn't. I grew up in Fort Worth, which during that time, like I think, like we were talking about before the show, that like if you're not from here, you think like, oh, those are the same city.
Yeah.
But for me, growing up in Fort Worth, I probably came to Dallas 3 times throughout my whole life.
Wow.
Like it wasn't much at all.
Yeah.
Because I don't have family out here in Dallas. I didn't have events that I needed to come out to here in Dallas. So it was no reason for me to be out here. So when I moved back to the DFW area, well, first, of course, with my parents, in what was that, 2017? It was me being like, okay, like, where do I start? Like, how do I get involved in this city?
Mm-hmm.
And that turned into me starting a blog about me discovering Dallas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's turned into like, all right, now I have all these people who are following my journey because they're going through the same thing of like, we're new here and we don't know what's going on.
So you
Right.
met a need.
I met a need. Exactly. And that was the thing. Like, I didn't like set out to be like, oh, I'm about to be an influencer. It was like, I have a specific demographic of people that I realize I can help. So I'm going to try to help those people. And then that demographic just blew up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what
Yeah, it
pushed
was
me
funny.
into the influencer stuff.
We were just talking and I was telling him, I was like, yeah, no, I follow you already, which is weird. And then I'm like, oh, wow. He's like, I follow you too. I'm like, okay, that's crazy. At some point I needed you. So I don't
Yeah.
know, but that's
I
dope.
hope you got something out of it.
Yeah,
you know?
that's definitely dope.
So, question for you: what's your objective as far as being an influencer? Like, what's your end goal to it all?
Oh man, y'all trying to get into the master plan?
Should have wrote this down.
No. I have the answer. I just, for me, it goes very deep into like the bigger goals, but I think like the overarching goal for what the blog is. Excuse me. What the overall goal for the blog is to really bring the Dallas community together. I think that Dallas itself is very dope, and I don't think a lot of people know how dope it is because of the fact that it's so spread out.
Yeah.
So I want to be. Did y'all grow up watching Avatar?
A little bit.
Y'all remember that TV show?
Tiny
It's
bit.
okay if you didn't, guys.
It's a blur.
I was like,
But
don't
like,
lie
I
to
didn't
us.
watch it. Yeah. It wasn't my forte. Let's just say it wasn't my forte. Yeah.
I was that nerd that watched that, but like the Avatar, like what his job is to like be the bridge between everything going on
Right,
in his
right.
little world. So that's what I really kind of see myself as like the person who is not. I don't see myself as like driving the culture forward or anything.
Yeah.
I see myself as a platform for the culture to bring it all together.
Okay.
Right.
For sure.
That's cool. That's cool.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely. Let's see.
So how I've known you two, someone referred me to you all, and I found out that you all organized the protest in Addison. So how did that come about? Like, what's the story behind that?
Before Dani speaks, I just want to clarify. She put it all together.
Okay, so Dani did. Yeah. We appreciate. We appreciate.
and a lot of people, and I saw a lot of people there. So that is dope. That is dope for
Thanks.
sure. That is so.
She took that herself and made it happen. I just came out last minute. She was like, "Hey, Brandon, make sure you pull up." I was like, "I'm there."
I'm there to help. So how did that start? How did you come up with that?
Honestly, it was Monday, okay? Monday afternoon. And literally, it took 4 days, 3.5, 4 days to come up with this protest. But like Monday, I was just kind of overwhelmed with just hearing the stories after stories of like a Black individual that is in the hand of police brutality. And just, I got mentally overwhelmed. And so I just felt like, okay, Addison, Texas, I work there. I've worked there for 2.5 years. I feel like that city itself is too quiet. I feel like they just went about their day like nothing happened. And yes, it is a suburban area, and it is majority of the people that live there are white individuals.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I just felt like, okay, what is a way that we can all get our voices heard, especially those as myself that is not really publicly vocal when it comes to certain topics, especially when it comes to like the systematic issues and then government and police brutality. I'm not really advanced to speak about it as well. So I just felt like I was like, okay, let me plan a protest, but let me figure out who I need to get in contact with to start this protest. So I literally was just like, okay, let me look up city manager, city council, the mayor of Addison, everyone in that higher authority that would be able to assist with joining in and making this happen. And so I initially sent an email out to like the city mayor, police chief, and all of them, and I created a flyer, and I was just like, okay, I want to start a protest, but like I know I have to in a way involve the police, you know, so that they're, you know, because the thing is, the issue is not with the people itself, it's the police. And that's what my main concern was making sure that we create a peaceful protest. But I wasn't too worried about like our people, because I knew like, yes, emotions are running high, and we all, you know, feel some type of way about what has transpired. And not only just the issue that happened with George, this has been going on for many years. And so I just felt like it was right, and I didn't want to keep sharing posts and talking about it. I just felt like, okay, I needed to get my feet and hands wet and get involved. Because actions do speak louder than words. And so, and that's why I wanted to involve Brandon as well as my good friend Jacob, because I know they have vocally been, you know, present in a lot of situations, a lot of protests. And I just felt like it was needed. Because they knew, I mean, they know what to say.
Exactly. You know? Yeah, for sure. No, that's definitely dope, because I'm going to say that I would not have thought to do that. You know, I would not have thought to do that. So that's dope that you actually took the time and the energy to get the information to be informed about it and set that up, because I've heard a lot of people went.
And I was not expecting it.
Yeah,
like, honestly, it's so crazy, because when I was planning it, I actually sent a text message to my white coworker, Caroline, and she was just like, yeah, you should do something in Addison since we work here. And so I was just like, oh shit, like I didn't you know, think anything of it. And originally it was supposed to be like, okay, 10, 20 of our coworkers, close friends, and we were just gonna walk the sidewalks, you know, go in front of Ida Claire, go to all these other places, well, Ida Claire is not racist, okay? My managers were in support of what was going, you know, the protest itself. And actually, majority of my coworkers were present, and they feel the same exact way. But there are a lot of restaurants and establishments in Addison, Texas that are racist. The owners are racist. And so I was planning to originally, you know, picket in front of their establishment. But then I realized, okay, more people were like, oh, I want to join. I want to donate. I want to support this movement. And so I was like, okay, over 70 people have already, you know, stated that they wanted to get involved in literally less than one day. So I felt the need to, you know, reach out to authority, higher authority.
Awesome. That's dope.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah. That's really dope.
Thank
so
you.
The fact that you went and supported, that shows that you're a big support system to her, for sure.
Definitely.
So what was the experience like for you?
For me, first, like when she hit me up for it, I had my hesitations.
Okay.
Right? Because for me, I've I haven't been as like Dani is like one of the sweetest people I've ever met.
I
in my
can
life,
tell.
right?
I can tell.
She's been handling this thing so like very peacefully. You know what I mean? Versus me, I've been a little upset.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when she hit me up about it, I was like, I'm down, but I'm gonna let you know I'm upset.
Yeah.
Like when I come out here, like I'm not coming out here, like I'm not
And you
doing
kept it
electric
very
slide.
real too. By the way, I was like, okay, all right.
It's like I'm not doing electric slide with police. I'm not hugging no police or nothing like that.
okay.
Like I'm out here and like I even said when I was out there, fuck the police.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because that's how I am feeling, and even right now, like that's how I feel. And when I say that, I'm not saying like anybody individually, and I'm not saying like I'm gonna go and like shut down the whole police station.
Yeah.
But like I have issues with the police as a unit,
Whole,
like as
right,
as an entity.
Yeah.
I have an issue with them.
Yeah.
So I made that very clear to her, like, okay, I'm going to be upset out here. So we're clear. So, and she was very accepting of that, and I appreciated her for that. She, even though it was a peaceful protest, I was able to come out and say how I was really feeling.
Right.
And it resonated with the audience, and a lot of people really appreciated that I did say that.
Yeah.
So for me, like, it was encouraging that we were able to get out there and like people were able to get off how they were feeling, and then we were able to talk about things we can do going forward.
Okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what I really feel like the rallies and protests, like everything that I've been to, like I kind of see it like, I don't know like how religious we all are in here, but
We love God.
Yeah.
yeah. But like, so with church and everything, like that's supposed to be like on Sunday, you come there to get recharged.
Okay.
You come there to get like your conviction and like to get around the energy of other people who are going through the same thing as you. You know what I mean? But with that, you still have to do things throughout the week.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like you can't just show up
And
to the rally
today
That's
is
a
the
fact.
day that I'm actually going to do something and stand for something. You have
Yeah.
to do it every day of the week.
every day. Yeah, so that's the way I see the rallies as, is that like we need to be able to have those kind of things to get the energy going, to get the conversation started. But the real work comes after those kind of things. And I was really happy to see that she made it about that. Like it opened up conversation at the end of it. We had people like go around, like talk to the person next to you.
Yeah.
Talk about
Educate
like
your
what's going
neighbor.
on. Yeah.
Nice. And it was very, I saw that there were multiple races there.
Yeah.
It was not just us.
I was very surprised.
Yeah, it was not just us.
I honestly thought it was just going to be, okay, you know, our community, because we stick together when it comes to certain things that we agree on and we stand for. And to see everybody from different races, you know, I was quite.
So we
Right.
definitely want to talk about systemic racism.
Yeah.
And we have the definition as it is a form of racism expressed in the practice of social and political institutions. It can lead to such issues as discrimination in the criminal justice system, employment, housing, healthcare, political power, and education, right? And then we had saw a quote on somebody's page. Ryan, you want to go ahead and...
It was Mr. Moore's page.
Okay.
It says, "I don't think we can end racism in this lifetime, but I do believe we can end systemic racism. There's a big difference there. Changing the system and changing a person's heart are two different things."
Wow. I've
Yeah.
never been quoted. Wow. Like, wow.
He said, I've never been quoted. I'm hollering. Okay.
Where's my pen? let me take some notes. Make quotable.
So with that quote being said, what do you think we can do to end systemic racism?
Well, I think that what we're doing right now, I think is a really big part of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's about getting inside of those systems. Well, number one is the protests and everything. Like, so let me say this. And this is something I think is a controversial thing that I'm going to say, but this is how I really feel.
Yeah.
I think that the rioting and stuff like that, like some people are saying that that's unnecessary and that's not how we're supposed to do it, but I think it's very necessary. And that was something, I don't know if I don't think we talked about this
No, I don't
afterwards,
think
but
so.
like when the guy that I was arguing with.
Yeah, that actually, the person that you were arguing with was actually the city manager of Addison.
I did not know that.
But that's like
Me and him, we were in a heated
no, one of my
debate.
friends
Yeah.
actually told me, they were like, hey, Brandon's like having a deep discussion with, you know, someone that is just not getting what you're trying to like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
That was actually the city manager.
Wow.
And that's another thing. No disrespect to Addison, but I feel like, okay, they use this platform to be like, oh, okay, City of Addison, we stand for Black Lives Matter and this, that. Like, even like I was sent a couple of screenshots of the town of Addison's Facebook page, and they were like, City of Addison, we stand for this, and this, that. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I'm not really a vocal person, you know, but I can be. And so I just commented, I was just like, hey, I'm the organizer of this. I would like to do more than just this protest because it doesn't stop here. Yeah. And for them, I feel like it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, we did this protest, so we're in.
Here's my black box.
But it's Black Lives Matter.
No, it's not what that is. It's just bullshit.
Right. Yeah. Right. Okay, that's dope. Yeah, we saw that quote. And we were like, oh, we definitely got to ask about this.
But sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying? You said.
So with that, the conversation that me and him were having was about violence.
Yeah.
Because he was saying that, like, hey, Brandon, I mean, like, because I introduced myself at that point. He was like, Brandon, like, you can't expect for violence to be the thing that, like, solves these issues. And I was like, violence by itself is not going to solve anything.
I wish I was there.
The awareness.
Like, you have so much to say behind, like, the crowd itself, but why didn't you speak up and say something about how you feel? You know what I mean?
Right.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
I love the dialogue. I love it.
Like,
I love it.
So annoying.
No, I love it.
But yeah, that was my whole thing, was that, like, he was telling me, like, because I was upset about something. It was something that I saw while we were out there, and I was like, that doesn't sit well with me. But I get it. You know what I mean? Because the thing is that when you go out there and you do those kind of things, like, sometimes you have to do that. Sadly, not saying that it's a good thing, but, like, sadly, sometimes you have to go to that level for people to listen to you. Yeah. Right? And at first he was saying, like, well, no, that's not true. Like, there's so much that's happened without violence. And I was like, okay, let me ask you this. Are you in the military? Like, have you ever been in the military? And he was like, well, my dad was. And he got very proud of it, too. He was like, proud, like, my dad was in the military. Okay. I was like, good. So at some point, the government said to whoever your dad went to war, they said, like, hey, do this. Yeah. This is what we telling y'all. And then people said, no. Okay. What was the next steps for America? We sending guns over. We sending over people with guns. Yeah. Because at a certain point, there has, like, violence is the only thing that people are going to listen to. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, like, I hate that. Like, even the Bible says there is a time for war. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, of course, like, we talk about, like, turn over the cheek and everything, but there's also, there's times where it has to be that. Even if you look at Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Yeah. Martin Luther King was able to do the things that he did because of the fact that they were like, all right, we rather have him than that Negro over there who's Malcolm X. So it's like those two sides of it need each other. You can't have just a peaceful protest without the violence, and you can't just have violence without a peaceful protest. Those are two sides of the same coin.
And we've learned that peaceful protests don't always get our messages across.
It doesn't.
It's easy to ignore.
Yeah. And we have to also learn that they saying it's violence, but it's not what y'all think it is. We're protecting something that's right. We're not fighting. We're fighting against what's wrong. Right. Like, we're not sitting here trying to fight with y'all.
Just to do something.
Yeah, like, we're not fighting just because we're fighting against what we think is right. So don't think we're out here just causing mayhem and we're just doing things just because.
And it's not necessarily the Black people also. Like, that's a fact too. I've seen other races, majority white, that have been the main people that are doing the looting and writing, the Black Lives Matter on different establishments. Yeah. So it's
we're going to get shut down if we start talking about this, but let's talk about it. Like there are provocateurs within our ranks that are there to actually, look, I think we had talked about it before. Like, it was a call with me, you, and Jacob where I talked about this. I was reading this book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, right? Okay. Charles Duhigg has this, the whole concept of power of habit it's about, I don't know how to explain it the best way right now, but it's basically about, like, looking at people's habits. What are the things that are leading to things actually happening, right? Like, not looking at, like, okay, like, here's the end result. Like, let's look and see what led up to this, right? And they were able to manipulate people's habits with protests in war zones in the Middle East, right? They were able to say, like, the specific example was they were looking at how there were always riots that ended up happening around the same time every day. Okay. In I can't remember where in the Middle East it was. I don't want to say a specific area and be wrong. But what they had done was
Egypt. I like Egypt.
Let's not let's not say Egypt.
I mean,
I like Egypt too, but, like, so I just keep saying Middle East.
She was trying to give a suggestion. I understand what Dani was doing.
I got what you said too. So let's just say Egypt. So let's
just say Egypt.
Let's say the area was Egypt, right?
Right.
So they were able to say that, like, okay, like we're realizing that around this time, like let's say the riot in Egypt happens at 5 o'clock. They're able to see like, okay, 2 o'clock. This is where the crowd starts thinning, and people are going over and going to the food vendors that are set up there. And at that point, the stuff goes back up.
Okay.
Right? So they were able to say, like, okay, like, what can we do to manipulate that? So they took out the food vendors, and at that time, the whole crowd would disperse at 2 o'clock instead of there being riots at 5 o'clock.
Oh, because
right?
they don't have a reason. They're not recharged and ready to do more.
Yeah.
That's smart. Yeah.
So what it is they're basically looking at the habits of what's happening with these groups, and they're able to prevent riots from happening. So I believe that with that same way of thinking, people are able to make riots happen. Like they're able to say, like, okay, like here's what's going on in this community, and around this time, like if we do this, it's gonna turn into violence, and it's gonna turn into a whole riot instead of the peaceful protests that these people are looking to do. Okay. So that's what we've seen. We've seen things like there being bricks laid out on our routes, right? We've seen things like people going in masked who weren't even part of the protest, going and knocking out windows, right?
Undercover cops too.
So we've seen those kind of things happening, and that's one of the things we really have to be aware of. And I was really happy that even in Dallas they pointed that out, like, yo, why are these bricks here?
Look,
like,
our black people, we come quick when it comes to like
something that don't make
looking out for each other.
We see something that don't make
hey, there's some bricks off of 121. Don't touch them motherfuckers.
Like, hey, bro, we ain't on that.
That wasn't us. That wasn't me.
Look, I'm saying shit.
So it's awareness, and I really, social media has changed how this all works for us, and I love it.
Yeah, it's being recorded.
Absolutely.
What was that quote by Will Smith?
Oh, it says, police brutality, it isn't getting worse. It's just getting filmed.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
And a lot of them don't be having their body cams on.
Yeah.
Say that.
What police department? I think it was in New York. Another man passed away, but they were not, 3 of the officers were not wearing their body cam.
That should be against the law. Like, if you don't have your body cam, that's automatically...
Buffalo, New York.
I'm interested to know what the law, like what their rules are and regulations are for wearing their body cams. Yeah. Is this something that they can just turn off? Is this something they can just choose not to wear?
Who controls?
Is that a part of your uniform? Too? Why is that not considered part of your uniform? That if you want to go out in the field that day, you have to have that as a part of your uniform.
Starts with the policy and procedures.
There you go.
Yeah.
But so that goes back to like the quote that we were talking about, and I think I got kind of off track from that, so I'm gonna just make sure I loop back to that real quick.
Yep.
I think it's very important that we look at the actual systems and we try to change the policies and everything, like y'all said, that are around these things, because like I said in there, you can't change a person's heart. Yeah. Like at this point, if there's somebody, a 45-year-old person who's racist, I don't think it's even our responsibility to go and like convince this person not to be racist. Yeah. But what it is our responsibility to do is make sure that there are systems in place to make sure that that person can't abuse the things that they're given in order to basically use that racism that they have against us. Right. You know what I mean? So that's what we have to do. We have to attack the system, not specific people.
Yeah. To start to make it better.
Yeah. 100%. So obviously we know the situation with George Floyd. Have y'all have any personal stories about police brutality? Or just a situation with the police,
Oh, no.
Even if something you witness or just anything.
I'll jump in. So for me, even though I have not had any negative experiences with the police myself, I saw something on Instagram that said, like, what are you afraid of? If you're not doing anything wrong, if you're not doing anything to break the law, why are you afraid of the police? And even though I've never had anything done against me, if a police officer gets behind me, I'm nervous. Yeah. Like I'm making sure I'm like driving right. I have the right speed. Just because I know what happens, I've seen it. Like sad. I know exactly what goes on.
And we shouldn't feel like that, but we can't help it.
Yeah. So have you had experiences with the police that you were just kind of like on edge about, that you were like, okay, I just want to make sure I'm doing everything right?
Multiple occasions. Yeah. Just all being followed. And this is like being in the store or in the mall and like being followed by like,
for sure.
Not even a police officer itself, but just being followed by
even
a white
any story with
individual,
that's something.
You know?
Yeah.
And you assume that I'm stealing something because I'm in a high-end store shopping.
Because I can't afford it.
Yeah.
So I have a very different perspective on all this, because for me, I grew up like when I was, I think 7, my family moved to the suburbs, right? And I grew up next door to a police officer, right? And even though there was never a moment of just straight on racism from him, everybody else in his household was.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And for me, I don't look back and say like, well, he wasn't racist. I look at it and I say like, he was good at hiding it. Cause like his kids, like your kids are gonna be a display of what you really are. Like your kids
what
are
goes
a product
on in the household.
Exactly. So from the way that his son was racist, completely racist.
Oh wow.
Right? And it's like, okay, like that's where you start to understand, like, just because you haven't had that direct thing happen to you, especially because me, like, growing up as a little kid in the suburbs, like, I was like, I'm gentrified, I guess. I guess
I get
the best way to say it.
I absolutely
So
get
like,
it.
I'm the type of person that like people will say like, well, if you're like that, like the police aren't gonna bother you because like you just got to act like this specific
My
way.
skin is still like this, though.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is that like people will try to say like, oh, it's not because you're black, it's like people acting black, that kind of thing. And I'm just like,
what is
no.
acting black? You know what I mean? Like, what is acting black?
Exactly. But like, it just shows though that like they still, even if you don't, like, just because I don't have a certain way that I act, then they try to like act as if I'm okay, but they still have that certain way that they feel about
That reminds me
and
of
it
this
comes out through
meme.
his kids. I still see the racism, even though it's not in my face racism.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. It reminded me of this meme that I saw. I forgot whose page, but it was like, it resulted to like, those are those type of black friends that white people say that they have. And it showed like this one black girl that wore like Abercrombie fish. That type of black. Yeah. You know?
That is hilarious. I don't know. I actually, on my way here, I was reading this blog of this guy who basically posted a bunch of pictures of, and it was like they were friends back in like 1960 or something like that. And he was like, I'm so sorry I failed you. And he, you know, all he had was white friends and then this one black friend. And he was like, I'm sorry that the people that hung around us pretended to love you or pretended to, you know, they masked it for you, or they told me that they were happy that I befriended this little black boy. And he was like, I just hate the fact that I wasn't able to tell you I'm sorry before you passed away.
Oh my God.
It's I guess we don't really realize too that a lot of people do mask it. Like they still feel a certain type of way about us, but they have a great ability to hide it.
It's so crazy because I probably unfriended like 2 or 3 people, right? But like my coworkers, they unfriended like their family members, just hearing stories, because like their family members just don't get it. Like their response is like, all lives matter. And it's just like, you don't fucking get it. And I'm not going to waste my energy to educate you on the fucking reality of what's going on.
It's not our responsibility to
It's
educate
not.
grown people.
I was just going to ask that. Is it our responsibility for people who don't get it to take the time to explain it to them, or should they do their own research to try to figure out why we're so angry?
I think that there is we are very vocal on social media about our points. You know what I mean? Like if you literally just get on social media, read for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not even you have to go and do like deep research. Like literally get on there for a couple of minutes and you're going to understand our perspective. Yeah. But if you go into it and you aren't open to your perspective changing, then it's not our responsibility to sit there and convince you. We do our responsibility by putting it out there, talking about it on our platforms, but it's not our responsibility to individually help somebody understand.
I think certain people just don't want to get it.
Yeah,
like,
that is true.
I just think that certain people, it's just like when you have a conversation and I'm talking to you and you know what you're going to say before I even finish my sentence.
Yeah.
Like you're not actively listening. That's your favorite. You're not actively listening. So for those who are people of not of color, and I've had this conversation with somebody, and they was telling they started with the riot, and I was like, okay, let's take a minute. Why are we rioting? And I kept backtracking, and I kept backtracking, and I kept backtracking, and eventually he didn't know, he didn't understand, and I'm like, the problem is, no disrespect, but y'all talk too much and y'all don't listen enough. Like y'all need to listen first. If you're not someone of color and you want to understand, just listen, just ask us questions. Hey, why are y'all so mad? Yeah. Because what he said was, well, I think y'all rioting because something. And I said, thinking comes from not knowing. Yeah. So if you don't know, then you need to ask.
You're assuming something that you have no education on.
Right.
If you're willing to have these hard conversations with your black friends, then you're open to like learning, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. But let me say, it's just like when you're in a relationship and you're having an argument and somebody is telling you a flaw and you don't want to hear it.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
now it's them accepting that they're part of the problem.
Exactly.
They don't want to accept that, oh, I have a hand in this. So they don't want to have the conversation.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a fact.
That's
I
a good
watched, who was it? Just Mercy. Have y'all seen that movie?
I have not watched it.
I have with Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, so I watched that movie the other day. I fucking cried.
God damn, he's so damn fine.
Sorry.
What the fuck was that?
Kanye.
Speaking of real.
Oh my God.
But I watched the movie, man, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I just start crying. Like I start fucking crying because that movie, that was like the first black movie besides, I watched Harry Tubman some months ago, but
Yeah, that was a good movie too.
that was a great movie.
My God.
But that was the first movie that I watched where I came to a realization was that I subconsciously blocked black movies because it hurt so much. Like
Yep.
watching what
I was like that before.
our ancestors done to us, like what they did to our ancestors, that shit hurt so much that I was just like, I don't want to see this shit.
Yeah.
Because if I go outside and the first sign of abuse, I'm knocking a bitch out off the rip. Like
if that movie got you emotional, then don't watch Fruitsville Station.
I have never.
because-
Let me say, one, because I love Michael B. Jordan.
Ooh,
Two,
that
I just
one really
cannot.
got me.
I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day.
Oh my
I
gosh.
refuse to watch Fruitvale Station.
I'm
I
sorry.
refuse
That
to watch
really,
it.
I cried.
And I want
cried.
to. I want
You
to.
should.
I
It's
just
a really good
I
movie.
remember I just saw like a little part of when they were on the train, and I said, "I'm good."
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so sad.
It's so much that I realized that we've suppressed as a people. And when
I'm
watched
not my ancestors, let me tell you.
yeah.
Knock a bitch out.
So when I watched the movie, I always backtrack to the root problem of why I start crying. And I went to childhood, and I was like, from childhood, they've ingrained this shit in me from elementary school. Like they've like put this shit in me of like being
We're taught to live with them in the world with them, but they're
Yeah.
not taught to live in the world with us.
Right.
Exactly.
So remember on the other podcast we talked about, they asked the question, I said, to be honest, I'm desensitized. Like
Yeah.
I'm so numb to all of this. But what got me to this point? And I kept thinking and I'm just like, they did this from childhood, from elementary school to certain kids making you feel like they're special. Like I've been so desensitized, and what I realized is they talked about the 5 stages of grieving. And first you go into denial, like, why am I going through this? Like what I don't understand. And then you go into anger, like I'm mad because they're getting special treatment and I'm not, and or whatever the case may be. And then you try to bargain, like, well, maybe if I do this, then they would make me accept me.
Maybe if I have more friends,
that's
or if I
horrible
change the
to
way I
think that way.
talk, or
Right.
if I'm this way, then yes.
Or
you
if I
will.
become more like them,
Yeah.
they would accept me. No matter what you do, it's not, and then you go into depression, like, so no matter what I do,
I'm never gonna.
I'm always going to be this in this society, in this world. And then you just come to accept it. And I accept that shit from childhood. And I didn't even realize it until I cried watching Just Mercy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Till I avoided so many black movies, because in school, the first thing we taught is slavery. And it's like,
That's
they
like-
dangle
that's
this
what
shit
they
in my
are.
face
Yeah.
like, oh, so y'all wasn't shit from the beginning. But our history didn't start from slavery.
Yeah.
So we're like, what the fuck did y'all, like, what
Just
the fuck?
get that. Why is that the one part that y'all want to talk about or teach us?
Right.
Yeah.
Every level of high school or middle school, y'all want to start with slavery. Fuck you and slavery.
Yeah.
Like, we're more than slavery. So what the fuck are you trying to show
My
me?
junior year of high school, I went to a completely all-white high school. There has to be no more than 15 black people in this school. And when I tell
Oh, wow.
you, that was
Where'd
the
you
first-
go?
I actually am from Indiana. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
What part?
Why you laughing?
So I'm gonna just say where I graduated from. No, I'm originally from Gary, but graduated from Hobart High School, and it's completely like it's a very much so white town. And so I was in a class, and of course it was around history time, and we had to watch. Oh my God, I can't even remember what movie it was we were watching, but we had to watch this movie, and it just was so hard. I'm the only black girl in the class, and every time something happens, they look at me, and I have to sit in this classroom and like pretend like I don't see y'all like looking at me. Or after that, they're just like, how hard was it to watch that? And my teacher even got to the point he was like, if you want to leave the classroom, like you're more than welcome to. And I'm like, I mean, y'all, this is a part of my grade.
Right.
Like, I have
So
to
why
sit
would
here and watch
yeah.
this. And it's very hard, but I do wish that they could find other shit to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fact,
slavery.
man.
Yeah.
That's a fact. It's like they dangle the shit in our face and it's like, well, this is all we want you to know you for. Like you're a slave, and that's
Dani,
gonna be.
Are you from the Dallas area? Are you from
I
Dallas?
am.
Okay, so born and raised.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I went to Allen High School.
Oh, okay.
So even though but there was a lot of black students,
Yeah, that's
actually.
Okay.
That's a fact.
So, and the reason I asked that is because when I came here, I went to UNT.
Okay.
And I had to take a history class here, and I had never heard of Juneteenth. I'm not gonna lie. That's not something that that's not something they taught where
They
I was
don't
from.
teach that?
That is not something that I was
that's a
aware
fact.
of.
Wow.
Nah, they don't.
I had never heard of that until I came here.
Wow.
So my question is, how was it growing up? Did they teach that in schools for you guys? Like, is that something that you learned? How did you guys educate yourselves on like Juneteenth? And
it's so sad because they did not teach that in Allen High School. I feel like the history and government class was fucking bullshit. None of them were woke. I honestly didn't really learn much about like our government and justice system until like taking a course at Collin College 2 years ago. And my government teacher is a liberal. So he basically told us the ins and out.
okay,
You know, but it's so weird because I actually knew about Juneteenth off of a Penny Proud episode 6 years ago. Okay. Yeah, so
Sorry, my God.
wow. And then for those that don't know, that was the emancipation of the rest of the slaves. Like
Yep.
they became freed after that. So, and that's not something in Texas, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's not something that obviously Indiana probably would even care to teach.
Oh, no.
Got
Yeah,
you.
that's a
But
fact.
I know here that is definitely something that I've heard of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, for me, it was my mom who like she pushed Juneteenth very hard. Like that was something that she educated me on. My mom is also a history buff.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't call my mom like super woke or anything like that. Cause you know she a little ignorant. I love it.
That's okay. That's okay though. That's okay.
I love her. I love
That's
her.
okay.
Don't give no
But she definitely educated me on those things. She made me very aware, and that's one thing. Like I really love what my parents did. Like with me growing up in such a suburban area, and I didn't even realize it until I was older. But like they really made me proud of being black, regardless of where I was at. Like even though like I dealt with those issues of like being the black kid in the classroom and everything like that, I still was very connected with my family. Where I was over there with them all the time, anyways. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in a white area, but I didn't grow up just around white people. You know what I mean? So I really appreciated them for that because like I didn't miss a beat.
Gotcha.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
So what do you think? What do you think we can do to make a change? Like, what is?
in our communities
Yeah,
with us, what exactly do you think that we can do? We're starting with the protests.
She got her list.
Oh, she ready?
We started
Okay.
with the protests. You let us know what we can do. What can we do?
Well, actually, most of the stuff that I got from this page from that's on Instagram that's called Dallas Protests, and the number one thing that they were talking about is like understanding the Black theory and understanding like the systematic system and understanding the justice system too.
Okay.
And getting involved with like our council members. I live in the colony. I don't know any of our Dallas council members at all, and I just feel like. Do you guys ever get that like random text message where it's like, "Hey Dani, thank you for voting for da 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 da," like so and so is running for this blah 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 whatever, and it's like you get these text messages and stuff like that, but it's like I don't know who I'm voting for, what you guys stand for, like what is your reason behind certain things, and it's like I feel like us as Black individuals need to get more involved with understanding
What's going on?
When it comes to the justice system and our council members. So that's number one, and then also supporting Black-owned businesses. That's number two.
That's the
you
one
know
thing
I
I've
feel
seen.
like. That's so important.
Hell yeah.
I feel like, okay, Target, Walmart. First of all, Walmart, they're racist. But anyways, that's another topic. But I feel like they're going to make their money. They're going to retain it in any way, form. Like everyone's going to shop at Target, Walmart, Ross, whatever. And I feel like our Black-owned businesses are somewhat struggling in some ways because it's like we don't do enough supporting when it comes to the Black community. Even sharing a post is something. That's a form of communication to me.
For sure.
And if we just understand the Black-owned businesses and support it any way that we can, that's a start. But I feel like we've been more vocal on social media when it comes to that.
Extremely.
For sure.
Very,
sure.
very,
For sure.
very,
For
very
sure.
vocal.
And support
on that.
too is not always buying, because something may not cater to you, but you sharing it may cater to somebody else.
Exactly,
that needs it.
exactly.
So sharing is like the biggest form of support that you can give anybody.
Oh, yeah.
And people always think that you have to buy. No, you don't have to buy. You don't have to shop. You don't have to eat there. Sharing it is for somebody else.
Yeah.
Everything that you do is possibly for somebody else.
Yeah.
It's actually a page on Facebook that says it's a DFW Black-owned businesses, and you can go there and you can literally type, "Hey, I'm trying to find somebody who does."
Do you happen to know that Facebook page?
Hold on, let me get you right now.
And I would
Have you
like
seen the
to.
restaurants one
Yes,
too?
I was.
The
Yeah,
restaurants
I've
one?
seen the
Wait,
restaurant
super
ones.
big. The restaurants one, and if they, I don't know where you can find a link on there, but like if anybody needs this, hit me up. There's a link that'll go to a Google's map, and on that Google's map, it's a bunch of I think it's like 222
Oh, I know the
locations.
page. Brandy's Food Diary. She has that on her link, actually.
Yes.
That's where I found it, actually. Originally.
222 businesses on a map. So like if you're in the area and you're like, okay, what Black-owned businesses around
an
me, and all you
interactive
see
map
is like
on her
Raising
page.
Cane's and stuff like that. Like
Grayson Cane's.
Interesting. And what was it?
This one is called DFW Black-owned restaurants.
Okay.
And that's on Facebook.
That's on Facebook. Yeah, it has 193,000 members.
Yeah, I was
I'll send you the
added
link
to
after
this.
dinner.
I was added to this not too long ago, and I was like, I'm never going to be
Overwhelmed.
able to go to all of this shit. But you don't know.
You should.
You have no clue
Yeah.
how many are really out there.
Right.
So it's really dope that somebody actually took the time to create this for us, because
Yeah.
we don't know.
Yeah.
yeah.
And another big thing, check in on your friends, your Black friends.
Check in,
Mental
do a
health
mental
is
check.
so,
Mental health,
so important,
That's the
especially
one thing
within the Black
I
community.
push that.
Check
I push
in
that.
on your
I
friends.
push that. Even if you send a text to somebody you
Yeah,
ain't talked to in 6,
something.
7, 8 months, and you're just like,
Yeah.
hey, just checking in on you. You never know what space somebody is in.
That is true.
Right.
That is true.
That's a fact.
So let me say,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
piggybacking off of the points that you made, the first one about government, I think it's important for us to educate ourselves on our local government, but also be able to know who those people are so we can hold them accountable.
Yep.
Because that's one of the things. Like we don't need to just be engaged with these people during election time. Like we need to make sure that throughout the year, like, okay, like you said, as you were running,
Yeah.
that this is what you were going to do for us.
Right.
You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
6 months in, we need to be checking in on those people.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you said this was happening. Where's the progress on that?
Yeah.
Like, what have you done in this 6 months since we elected you? And if you're not holding up your part of it,
Yeah.
all right, let's start looking for who's the next person who's about to take your spot
Exactly.
in this next election. You know what I mean? Like, we need to be, like, hold these people accountable more than anything else.
No, that's really
Speaking about election, oh, I'm sorry.
So that goes to voting, right?
Yeah,
How
I was just gonna
important
say that.
is voting?
I was just about to say that.
How important is voting within the Black community, or just in general? Like, how important is voting for the right person for what we stand for?
Look, this is super big. I don't know if y'all saw the election for the mayor of Ferguson. The mayor of Ferguson is a Black woman now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
I
know how
heard
many
that.
votes she won by? 200 votes.
Just 200?
200 vote difference.
That's it.
200. Like, think about that. Like, the mayor of Ferguson is now Black because of 200 votes. That just shows you the significance of
our-
voting on
Yeah.
the local level.
And I know she could have had more.
Definitely. Definitely. I
Yeah.
think,
Could've
like,
had more.
if you look at it, I think it would end up being like, I can't even remember the exact number, but I think it was like 1,500 people who voted for her. You know what I mean? So it's like, damn, like, I know the population of Ferguson is more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think it's
And it's-
because we, in our communities, where
Yeah.
we believe that our vote doesn't count.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
feel as though, like, it's no point. There's
Yeah.
no point. If I'm voting and nothing's changing, we're just like, it's no point. But I think that, like, I saw somebody said, if we could stand in long lines to get shoes, stand in long
That's
a
lines
fact.
to do
Telling
this,
you.
That's a
we
fact.
can stand in these lines to go vote.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
And like, I understand people's argument about the, like, on the national level with their voting. I still think you should go and vote on a national level.
Yes.
Definitely. But like, for those people who are just like, okay, like, I'm done, like, I'm never voting on a national
Anything.
level, like, that, please, I'm not gonna try to argue with you on a national level. Please still vote on a local level.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, that was a 200 vote difference that made the mayor of Ferguson a black woman.
And that's not a lot
You
at
could
all.
make that
Yeah,
like
it's
your
not.
group of friends. Like if you got everybody on your Instagram, you got like let's say you got
That's
10,000. Well,
Yeah.
let's go bring it even down. Let's say you got 1,000 people on your Instagram, right? Like that follow you. If you can get 20 of those people to vote,
Yeah.
It's a fact.
that's making a huge difference. You know what I mean? That's 10% of that 200 people.
For sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's extremely important to make sure we're doing that on a local level.
Yes.
And
Elections
national,
is coming up soon.
I know.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all register before June 15th.
Oh, I already registered. I got my card.
I was about to
as
say,
well,
do y'all
as
know
well.
anywhere that needs to register to vote? Because I haven't registered in Dallas or Texas yet. I have registered in Georgia, but not since I moved here. So how can I register to vote if y'all know anybody? I know
Tomorrow.
someone, but
Tomorrow they're doing registration over at For the Culture Studio.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll send you the information on it.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay, for the Coaches Studio.
So
And that's
anybody
like
out there,
downtown Dallas. Yeah.
so anybody out there who needs to register to vote, man, make sure y'all register to vote. I'm definitely.
I feel like there was something in
I'm definitely
Addison
gonna vote
too.
this year.
Am I tripping?
In Addison,
Somebody's having something out here. I thought for
voting.
registration.
I don't know.
And then also I got a person who she specifically does that too. So if anything, I'll get you in contact with her.
Okay. And then
Better.
being active in the community, are there organizations that people can join, that they can talk to, that you guys know of, that you would recommend to people in Dallas area?
I think there's so many different organizations that it
Yeah.
really comes down to like, what are you passionate about? Oh, and this
Yeah.
is another thing. Coming back, because this was a point that I forgot to touch on. We all have a role to play.
Yep.
And I think that like people,
Yeah, I was
like,
about to say that.
like I think sometimes people feel like, well, I need to be out doing this, or like if you haven't protested one time, I'm not mad at you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because for some people that's not their role.
Right.
But make sure that you're doing what you can in your what you can do.
Yeah.
To make sure that you're pushing this agenda forward, whether that be you being somebody who's on social media and you post on your story every day, whether that be you being somebody who works with children and being able to educate children at a younger level of like how they're supposed to get involved, or even if it's you going out and volunteering to help people register to vote.
That is
like
so
there's
true.
so
Bringing
many
awareness.
different ways that you can help your community, and it doesn't just have to be you going out there and protesting or even you running for office. Like if you feel inclined to run for office, run for office.
Run for office.
But
You have
just
my
make sure you
support.
do it in the way that resonate, that you are able to. We
And
are all
comfortable.
giving an ability.
Yeah.
Use your ability, the gifts that you've been given.
And we're all in this together, you
Yes.
know? I support anyone that is, because there's so many protests that are going on every single day.
Yeah.
Actually, Dallas, is it DFW protests?
No, Dallas protest.
Dallas
_
protests. No, it's Dallas protest _
Yes.
Okay. That page literally tells you a list of different protests that are going on throughout
day.
the day.
Good.
So that's a good Instagram to
Absolutely.
follow.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
That was one of the questions that we were going to ask. So
Yeah.
that's definitely good to
Yeah.
know.
And
Because
do it
I
for
didn't
the
know.
right reasons,
Because I had no
too.
clue. I had not the slightest
Yeah.
idea. And I remember my friend actually was protesting in Frisco.
Yeah.
And I
Yes,
said,
I heard
where
about
are
that.
y'all
Friendly.
finding these?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
where are y'all finding these protests?
I
And
heard
so
about
she
that
sent
one.
me a little Instagram link to a page.
And then it's like, we're all, do it for the right reasons, not for clout.
Exactly.
That's a
You know what I mean?
Genuine.
Like, do it genuinely, do it for the right reasons, because it's like, okay, if you want to do it just because, oh, well, this person's doing it, so let me be one step ahead of this person because they're doing this, that. And I just feel like it's not a competitive game. This is fucking real life.
Yeah.
Right.
This is reality.
Right.
You know, I'm not really big on speaking about like the justice system because I don't know much about it. And that's the reason why I included Brandon and Jacob, because I'm not a vocal public speaker.
Yeah.
But, you know, I stand for what's wrong and what's right.
But
So.
I to slightly disagree, just a little bit, just a little
Go ahead.
bit.
He said it wouldn't be right if I didn't.
I just have a small part to that I like. I feel that right now it is cool to be to be against racism.
Oh, yeah. Hell
You
yeah.
know what I mean? And like for me, like it's white people out there who like their energy is on 10, and I'm like, whoa, I'm glad that is on this side of the fence here. You know what I mean? Like, and so for me, like I definitely get what you're saying, that like make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. But for those people who are coming out there just because it's like cool to be like with black people, I ain't mad at it.
Oh yeah.
I think it's more so the people who are just going so they can have a picture to say that they went, but they really don't even understand what's going on.
Yeah. Or if they do, but they're just kind of like, okay, well, okay, let me be like side by side, but it's like a competitive thing, and it's like it's not like that for me.
I just still think it's dope that you put that together.
Yeah,
Man, that shit.
Like,
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
it's like,
Look, me and you just like, I know what you're talking about. We're not being shady.
not
We
being
just
shady. It's just like
we just been engaged for years, so we able to speak to each other in a way.
They got to connect. Like, they're like, okay.
No, but it's just
The
like, you
eyes
know,
will
like,
be in there, like-
you know, we're all black. We all have like a mutual understanding on what has transpired for years, and I just feel like it's like I support you if you're supporting the same cause. Like we don't have to be one step against each other. Like who the fuck does that shit?
I feel like
Not
this,
me.
man. Everything has a puzzle piece.
Yes.
Every single thing. Whether you
Yes.
feel like your puzzle is bigger than the other,
Yeah.
the puzzles are the same fucking piece, but
Yeah.
it has a bigger picture. So if you're good at organizing, but you have the influence,
Yes.
And the voice.
right?
Yes.
That brings it together.
Exactly.
But we have a podcast. Like it don't fucking matter whether you feel like this or anything. It all is a puzzle piece that we all need each other in a sense
Yes.
to bring the bigger picture of what we need for the outcome of everybody.
Oh yes.
You know what I'm saying? So regardless of
Yeah.
have anybody ever feels, do what you can do to
make a
add to the
difference.
cause.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And come
Use
from a
your
genuine
gift.
place. Yeah. Use your gift. Because I said this on another podcast. I'm not the Martin Luther King or the Malcolm X. I'm not the guy to like lead a protest. I'm not that guy.
Yellow Umunnakwe. Shit.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not that guy,
Yeah.
but what I'm good at is I'm good at inspiring people to be their best self. So I may be that person to inspire you to be that lawyer to make the difference in somebody else's case or to be that judge. Like, that's what I'm good at. Or she may be that person to talk about her situation to inspire someone to be what we need. But overall, it goes to the bigger cause. It's not, it comes from a genuine place.
And let me say this.
Yeah.
We need that. We
Yeah.
need every single one of those things, even if a person feels like whatever their role is not significant.
And that's the problem.
It's still
Yes.
needed.
That's
Yeah,
the
it's
problem.
needed.
People don't
Everything is
feel
needed.
like what they can contribute actually helps. So that stops them from trying to do anything at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
And
you
it's
can
so
color,
sad. It
if
shouldn't
all
be
you can do
like
is sit
that.
there and like color inside the
color,
lines,
look,
go
I
make
be
you a goddamn
colorful
Right.
protest sign. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
I don't even need you to be out there at the protest. You made that sign.
Give
You
it to
contribute.
somebody
Because
else.
guess
Exactly.
what? That protest sign may be something that goes viral.
And that's your sign.
And that's the sign that needs to be vote. Like, you know what I'm saying? To
That needs to
inspire
be
somebody
said.
else to say, ooh,
Yeah.
that shit made me. I'm finna go do my shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's all a puzzle piece
Yeah.
to the bigger picture. But just do what you can do genuinely. Don't go out there for no
Yeah.
bullshit. Do what you can do good from a
Exactly.
genuine place. And it's going to all come together.
It's so funny
all
because
come
after
together.
this protest, like a couple people were like reaching out, like brands, all these different, you know, organizations that were just like on their page. It's just like white dominated, like white,
Yeah.
white. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh, do you want to join our picture for supporting the cause and this, that. And I even sent him and Jacob this like link on our group chat or whatever. And I was like, hey, this girl wants to take us like take a picture because I'm slightly gullible, but then I'm also like, oh, okay, you know, I'm like, sure.
She's nice. I love it. I love it so much. But at the same time, I'll be like, yo.
Yeah, you have to look at the big picture. Like, okay, like they weren't including us before, so why all of a sudden they want to, you know what I mean?
Look, I
and
told
so
her,
when
I-
he said something, I was like, oh,
She hit me up about somebody, and I was like, I don't want to be part of her white guilt campaign.
yeah,
And it was like,
Gotcha.
What I learned is
Yeah,
with
it makes sense,
what I
yeah.
learned with businesses is they're always going to do in the best interest of it for them. So if
Yes.
this is a wave that's going on right now, they're going to go with the wave.
yeah, oh yeah.
Remember those companies that stood tall from jump? Nike stood tall from jump.
Oh hell yeah.
off the real.
Nike stood tall from when everybody
why
was
we fucks
against.
with them.
Nike stood
And
tall from
Reebok,
jump.
and Reebok.
I was about to say
Yeah.
Reebok.
Reebok too.
Reebok stood tall from the jump. So pay attention to these.
Has New Balance said anything? I don't know. This is just me
Let's
asking.
look at their Instagram
Let's look-
real
So
quick.
let me say one thing. The one thing that has frustrated me the most is just like when COVID first happened and I started getting all those emails from companies that I haven't shopped with in like 9 years. They're like, oh, I just want to let you know what we're doing to make sure that we're good with COVID. It's like I'm getting those emails now from companies who are like, we stand with Black Lives Matter
me say
and we
something.
support. And I don't know if that comes from a place a genuine place.
No, nah, I'm not going for that. Like, cause everybody's going with that wave now. Like,
I don't think that's genuine when you come out because you don't want to be targeted. You don't want to be canceled.
Yeah.
So now
Which
you're
is
posting. Now you're
It's
posting.
so sad. And that's how I felt about Addison, the city itself. I felt like a lot of the people were just like, okay, I don't want to speak up. I know this is wrong, but I don't want to speak up because my friends have a political standpoint on like different things. And it's just
fuck out of here.
so stupid.
So what we're gonna do is before we end the show, we're gonna go around and say one piece of advice that you would like going forward to help push the culture. Like, what can we do to make everything better? So I'm gonna start with me. I feel like study your history. Like, even though I've been someone who's subconsciously rejecting it because it's painful and it hurts.
Yeah.
But the more I dig into it, the more I'm more active and be like, man, fuck this. Like, I need to do something. So study your history and just do as much research as you can. Make sure y'all read and not just go off of what social media or the mainstream media says, but make sure y'all do y'all research. Like, do y'all research on studying our history. Even if it hurts, it's a reason why we're going through it, and we can always make a difference. So study our history.
Yeah, I'll let y'all go.
I agree. Yeah, just basically what you stated, understanding the systematic oppression that Black people face. There's a reason why there's this huge gap between the white and the Black wealth, you know? And so I want to do better on my part with understanding.
They always say if it's something they didn't want us to know, they'll put it in a book.
Literally.
Yeah.
And educating your friends, group chat. Like, hey, this is what I saw that can help. You know what I mean? So.
Okay, so
he got
He got
got
a whole
two.
notebook.
I got two. Number one, I don't know what camera I should look into as I say this.
Whichever one.
both of them.
For this one.
Oh, I forgot that there's a camera. I forgot we were just speaking. Sorry. Okay.
First off, it's funny that these mics got bonnets. That's not.
We were calling them Mike Condom.
I love it.
No, these are bonnets. Anyways,
What are those? Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
What the fuck was that?
I was just kidding.
hey, it's a wrap.
Crying.
I'm just kidding.
The laugh.
All right, I'm done. My bad. I'm done.
When you said what are those, were we talking about bonnets or condoms?
I was talking about
mic.
the bonnets.
Right. Okay. Anyways,
Oh Lord.
Definitely talking about the bonnets.
This is a big edit. This is
This
yo.
is my friend. This is my new friend.
This edit is finna
this
be so big.
literally- No, I'm not editing that out. That is not going anywhere. That's gonna be in there.
it's a whole
Jesus.
5-minute clip. Where'd it go?
All right. What's up?
Here's my word.
Just kidding.
My word of advice is two of them. Number one, stop electric sliding with the police.
Right. And cha-cha sliding and all that shit.
Stop it. Look at me in my face. Stop it. Okay, that's number one. And then number two, on
Family
a very serious-
reunion.
Yeah, bro.
outta here.
Like we out here celebrating. What do we sell? Okay, that was a fat boy inhale. You hear that? That sounded-
gosh.
Anyways, number two is to understand what we're fighting. We aren't fighting, like at this point, the statement of Black Lives Matter, like that statement has been made. I think we get that. At this point, we are fighting systemic racism.
Yeah.
That's what I think we really need to focus in on. Like that's what I challenge you all to do. Like, how can you dismantle that system that is oppressing us? Stop trying to explain to these people why Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Like, we got that message out there. Stop explaining it. Now, how do we fix that system?
Yeah.
There we go. That's all I got.
Okay, that's dope. I like that.
What you got, Shorty?
My only thing is, I'm big on just raising awareness. So us doing this podcast, whatever you feel like your piece is, the fact that y'all went out there and did the protest, y'all created it. You went ahead.
She created.
She created. We gonna make sure.
My bad. She did. Okay.
I give
My
Dani
girl
her credit because
Dani.
she did the
She
I
did
goddamn
love
it.
thing.
that. I love that.
I
Yes,
appreciate
yes.
that.
Black
Yeah.
girl magic over here.
Yeah,
I love
she
to
did
see
that.
it. Hashtag love to see it.
Yes.
So just creating the protest, you being out there supporting, you
Yeah.
talking actively on your
Yes.
Instagram, us sharing stuff, us doing this episode of this podcast,
Right.
somebody is going to watch it and they're going to be like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So that is my only thing is just figure out, like he said, what part you can play in it. Because even though somebody may not go out there and protest, if you find one thing that you feel like can help, it can help.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I agree.
Last message before we leave: just make sure after we protest, y'all continue to do more. Like, just don't think this the protest is the end. We gotta.
Sorry.
We gotta keep. We gotta
More
keep
jokes.
doing more. We gotta
More
keep voting, being active in the community. We gotta keep supporting each other. We gotta. We gotta do more. Just don't think this is the end.
Yeah.
It's 400 years of a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Don't think it's gonna come in a couple months, a couple years. We gotta keep pushing forward. And after this is over, like after the protest is over, it's more work to do.
We have to systemically.
Didn't you say something
dismantle.
like that? It takes 2 generations. Didn't you say? I don't know if it was
Wasn't
you or
him.
Jacob.
Well then,
I thought it was you. Or
Well,
maybe
it's okay.
It was Jacob. Maybe it was Jacob.
Sorry.
But-
I should have just went with it. I should have been like,
Yeah,
yeah.
you should have.
yeah.
Did you not fucking
Oh
receive
my God.
Me,
My bad, my
ran
bad.
into your
Yeah,
freaking
sorry,
sibling?
sorry.
Okay.
it's okay. It's
This is
okay.
why we didn't work out, because I be fucking up. Look, I'll take responsibility for me and her
together.
engagement not working out.
But no, I heard the saying where it was like, okay, even if our generation is not going to be the reason why we overcome racism, it takes up to 2 generations.
So we got to work.
That's a fact.
We got work to
Crazy.
do. So we have work to do.
We got work to
Yeah.
do. Just like our ancestors, maybe they didn't see certain things that we've seen in lifetime, but they built that bridge for us to see that.
I think
So-
we're more vocal.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
so we gotta build that. We gotta build
yeah.
that bridge for our grandkids and our kids and
Yeah.
our great grand. We gotta build that bridge. So let's just continue the path that we're going on
For sure.
Yeah.
and keep it going.
And
Yeah.
we definitely want to thank y'all for being here.
Ooh, we thank y'all so much, man.
Oh,
We appreciate y'all for real, man.
Ryan was like, "Hey, we got these people coming on."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm nervous as shit."
Oh,
Like,
Yeah, she did say that.
You know what? You texted me. Well, I texted you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you texted me, but I texted you and I was just like, I'm anxious,
Yeah.
but I'm not. He was like, well, I curse a lot, so
yeah,
you
and
know,
we
it's
want
like,
people to feel comfortable
Yeah,
all the
I'm-
time.
yeah.
Whatever it
Yeah.
is, be
you're
comfortable.
black.
Yeah.
I was definitely comfortable from the rip.
Be yourself, man.
And we just
That's a
want y'all
fact.
to be comfortable. So if
Yeah.
y'all can plug y'all Instagram, so we can
Absolutely.
send some people your way.
Whatever y'all want to plug it in right now.
Anything that y'all want to plug, anything.
Well, my Instagram.
She a model. She a model. Go ahead. Let them know you be modeling. Go ahead.
Okay, so follow me on Instagram, Daniela. So DANIELAU_model.
Okay.
Daniela, you model.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Moore. Follow me on Instagram at More in Dallas. Follow me on Twitter, also at More in Dallas. And then also you can email me at Brandon at More in Dallas. Also, check out my website, www.moreindallas.com. Also, I do social media consulting. So if you have a small business and you need help just leveraging social
Or if you
media,
need more of
More in Dallas.
if you need more business, more content, more love.
He's
hit up.
a man.
You need more-
He is the man. So I'm about to have to talk to you. Then. I'm glad you said that.
Come talk to me.
I'm glad you said
We can
that.
talk about it.
yes, I'm here for
I
it.
have a little business that I'm running.
Oh,
so,
yeah,
and I want my little
absolutely.
business to be a big business.
Right.
I sell adult toys. So
Girl,
Yes.
I'm gonna hit you up.
I wish I could have seen the meme. What meme is that? Where Carmelo and he's like,
yeah, I'll plug my website.
Yeah, go ahead, girl.
The silkbox.com.
I'll plug.
Hold on, let me put this on my
so I'll
notes.
plug.
When the black come out for real. Let me go ahead and get my
I'll plug my business. Sorry, my bad. The pun there was
We're
funny. to me.
talking important
The
business
pun. You
here.
just caught it. She just caught the pun. She gonna plug her business.
like anal plugs, guys.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Oh wait, nobody else
I'm
got
kind of
that.
scared to do that.
Girl, you and me both, but listen,
Okay,
there's a lot
well-
of people out there that love it.
How you out here selling sex toys? And you don't be putting nothing in your booty. Hold on.
I don't like
I don't know.
nothing.
That's
nothing
kinda
in my
scary.
I don't like nothing in my booty.
Yeah, I'm
I don't like nothing in my booty.
scared.
That's all.
Can we edit that out? Can we edit all that out? Because that was probably a little bit too much for this. Like, I'm sorry. I went too far.
What the fuck was that?
Kanye.
Okay, for
Why
real.
didn't I put this on live?
No, but for real. We're so happy y'all are on here.
Yeah.
We're so
we
happy y'all are
appreciate y'all
here.
for
Thank
real,
you.
man.
Thank y'all so much.
So
for
Wait, what's your
joining us.
silk? You said
Okay,
silk?
yeah, the silk box, and it's
She's
gonna
like,
be
no, let's run that back. No, I need that.
okay. It's thesilkbox.com, but it's gonna be box with 2 X's.
So it ain't been going well since we broke up, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Listen, hey, I don't
the
care. You
water's still flowing.
you can have somebody in your life and still use it, baby. That's
Almost
all I'm
definitely.
saying. You
Same.
can
No,
use it
like,
with them. That's all
never
I'm
mind,
saying.
I'll stop.
Our next episode is gonna be this because
Hey.
I need to bring awareness to
Yeah,
that.
you should.
No, definitely.
You should,
I agree.
yeah.
Like, wait, before anybody try to be like, look, Brandon don't know what he. I understand. If you want to bring toys, then never mind. Go ahead.
Right, come on. All right. You ready? Okay, let's go. Because we can do this all day.
All right, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in again on
Why you
episode.
get so serious? I'm sorry. He's like,
You need that one person. You need that one person.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to balance it out. I'm trying. Jesus Christ. I'm trying to.
You gotta try that person.
He's like, all right, y'all. So,
I'm trying to balance it out.
okay.
It's your boy Ryan.
You serious?
All right, let's get it together.
Smooth R&B.
That's my favorite.
Next up,
smooth
we got-
R&B. I wish I had that smooth R&B voice. But anyways,
Next up, we got I'll Be Sure.
Whispers after dark.
Oh shit! I thought you were really playing a clip. I was like, oh shit. Quiet.
All right, come on, Ryan. We sorry.
okay,
We sorry.
okay.
We sorry.
man, thank y'all for tuning in on another episode of Unsolicited Opinions, episode 6. Appreciate y'all for support.
I snorted. Did y'all hear the snort?
Sorry, I put 7 fingers up and you said 6. Okay.
We finna end this real quick.
Okay,
'cause
sorry.
I can't even focus.
Guess you gotta wrap it up. Wait, you got anything else to plug?
Not my ass. I can tell you that. Definitely not my ass. That's what's not getting plugged.
Booty.
Let me wrap this shit up. Because this shit is never gonna end.
She said not in my ass.
I'm just not a fan of that. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Ryan, come on. I
Okay.
believe in you. We believe
Sorry.
in you.
I appreciate y'all for tuning in to episode 6 of Unsolicited Opinions. Follow us on Instagram, unsolicited_opinions20 on Instagram, and Unsolicited Opinions on YouTube. We thank y'all so much for coming in
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
y'all.
as our special guest.
It's been fun.
It's been very fun. And until next time, we out.
We gotta come back.
We out.
Thank y'all so much.
That was so much fun.